have a little ritual that I do every day, and that is almost every day God sends money to me in some form, particularly when I'm running. It happens virtually every day of my life. And it's a little game, a mental game that I have played with myself. I'll be out running, and I'll be thinking about all of the abundance that has shown up in my life, and how grateful I am, and how grateful I am to have my children. One of the things that my wife and I practice regularly is telling our children how fortunate we feel to be their parents, how lucky we are. Not how lucky they are to have us as parents, but how blessed and how grateful we are. And I'll often pick up my little boy or one of my little girls and just put my arms around and say, you know, I am really lucky to have you. You know, I'm really blessed to have you show up in my life. I feel that way about all my children. And having that kind of attitude is something that I do with everything that has shown up in my life, because I lived a big hunk of my life without a lot of abundance, with a great deal of scarcity. But even while I was living in scarcity, there was never a sense of poor me, or I wish I had more, or even looking at other people and saying, they've got it and I don't. That attitude keeps you from being grateful for what you have.
Gratitude works a lot. If just being grateful for everything. The more, I always say the universe loves gratitude. The more you're grateful for what the good is in your life, the more good you get to be grateful about. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, if somebody gives you a present or gives me a present and I say, oh my God, I hate that color and it doesn't fit, and you know, that person will never give me another present. Mm-hmm. But if you say, oh, it's wonderful and thank you, I really adore it, it's great, that person is probably going to want to buy you a present every time they see something they think you would like.
As a child, I didn't learn to say, oh, they've got a Cadillac and we have to drive around in an old Chevy or something. There was a sort of an internal knowing that you haven't earned a Cadillac. You know, that isn't something that you even think about as being yours. They used to talk about being able to buy a Cadillac when I was a young man, you know, buying my first car, and they said a Cadillac cost almost $4,000. I couldn't comprehend a Cadillac costing $4,000 and having $4,000 to buy a car. I mean, it wasn't like something I would even give a moment's notice to. If other people had that was just their karma, or that was their benefits, or somehow they had done something to earn that. Now, today, when I go to buy a car, $4,000 is an option. You want this stereo system instead of this one? That'll cost $4,000 extra. All right, throw it in. What do I do? You know, it's got extra speakers. I mean, my first car was an old 1950 Plymouth that had you know, rusted out sides on it, and I washed that thing every day, and I was so proud of it. I was so excited about that. And the idea of looking at somebody else's new car and thinking that there was something wrong here, that they had it and I didn't, couldn't have occurred to me. And I believe it's that attitude of being grateful for whatever shows up in your life that allows additional things to show up in your life. And
to begin with, you start by doing what we call doing affirmations. And that is making positive statements about your life that are positive. And you do them deliberately. You might do them in the morning, you might do them at noon, you might do them at night, you might do them, you know, twice a day or whatever. But you do this and you let this become a habit. And as you start to do them, things will begin to change, maybe on a very small level. I call it getting the green lights in the parking places. I mean, they're not huge things in your life, but it can be very nice when you get 3 green lights in a row and you're in a hurry. Doing an affirmation is either writing it down, writing it on the wall or the mirror, or using, you know, just saying it. What I like people to do is to stand in front of a mirror and do their affirmations. Because there's something very powerful about looking in your own eyes and accepting yourself, or noticing that you reject yourself when you're saying something positive about yourself. So that would be a very beginning way to start. Say in the morning, you get up in the morning, you go to the mirror, and this is a big one, and it's hard for lots of people. But you look in the mirror and I say, I love you. I really, really love you. And to begin with, that can be so hard for people because they think of all the things that they think are wrong with them. But if you can start your day saying that, it's very powerful.
Every thought that you have is an energy. Everything in the universe is an energy. And when you have a thought that is a thought that weakens you, which Hawkins speaks about so brilliantly in Power versus Force, that thought, the 10th secret in 10 Secrets says, wisdom is avoiding all thoughts which weaken you. And thoughts change and make you strong or weak depending upon whether or not what you're thinking at any given moment. The instant that you put something into your body and hold it close to it, the moment that you move into the energy field of someone who is negative, and I'll be speaking more about this tomorrow afternoon and doing a little bit more of demonstration on it, that everything in this universe is...
But when I was beginning to work with people in the early days, I paid very close attention to what people said. And it became a habit with me, and I still do. I listen to what people say more than, you know, the words they're using and everything. And so often I think, oh, if you just wouldn't use those words, if you just take those 3 words out of your vocabulary, because people use negative words a lot, same ones over and over again. Yes, I hear words, much more than other people.
What words would you take out of the vocabulary?
Well, should to begin with. That's a big one. Because every time you say should, you're making yourself wrong. Either you were wrong, or you are wrong, or you're going to be wrong. So take that one out completely. And just a lot of negative expressions that people use. I'm not good enough, or this will never work, or it's a rotten day, or, you know, there's just tons of expressions, and we use them over and over again, and they don't do us any good at all. Everybody's journey is individual because we start from different places, so we can't all be having the same journey. But I think we all get certain aha, and that's when we've sort of learned something. We say, okay, and then if we can keep that, what we've learned, and practice it, then we've made another step and we can move forward. Yes, it's a lifetime journey, and we never stop learning. I'm 80 and I'm still learning, though the lessons are easier now than they used to be. I like to think of it when we start, we have all these boulders in front of us on our pathway, and we start to get the boulders out of the way, and you finally get to the point where it's gravel. And gravel you can handle, you know, and you can sweep gravel and you can do things. So, and then occasionally there's an old boulder. You think, I thought I had that one, but not completely. And you know, also I think that when we learn lessons, we think, oh, I've learned that one, it'll never happen again, I've done that, that's it. Well, how do you know you've done it unless it comes by once more and see how you react? Have you really learned it? Is it really nothing for you? Have you gone beyond that? Or are you going to go right back into the same old reaction? See, we're never wrong. That's what we need to learn that. We're always doing the best we can with the understanding and awareness and knowledge we have at that moment. I have a very firm belief that only good lies before me. And with that belief, it doesn't matter what comes, because it'll be only good. And I want it to be new and different and exciting and stuff. You know, I'm in my 80s now, and new things are happening. So let it roll. If you look in the mirror, just simple things like looking in the mirror in your own eyes and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And it helps if you use your name, Louise, I love you. I really love you. It gets to that little child inside that has been rejected for so long. And it breaks open sort of a dam or a door or whatever you want to call it. And it's like little miracles start to happen. Lots of little good things happen. And the universe loves grateful people. The more grateful you are, the more you get to be grateful about. It's that simple. Life is really very simple. We make it enormously complicated, but it doesn't have to be.
I speak often about how we take things for granted, and taking things for granted is one of the obstacles to having an attitude of gratitude. taking things for granted very often. I mean, I've often said that I think we should have special days every year in which we appreciate all the different aspects of our being. You know, like we give thanks for our liver on Mondays, you know, on the 3rd of January, Liver Appreciation Day. You know, or just try to imagine what it would be like if you didn't have that liver. There would be nothing for you to imagine. And then, you know, for the air that we breathe, and for the ground that we walk upon, and for gravity, and for the food that we have, and for the sky, and for, you know, our eyelids, which we just take for granted. Without them, how difficult it would be for us to get through even an hour of our day. And our toenails, and everything about ourselves, to begin to experience a sense of gratitude. Now, when we're talking about affirmations, and we're talking about manifestation, here we want to look at what it is we are asking to have manifested for ourselves. And remember, we are not creating anything, we're just redistributing, if you will. Everything that needs to be created is already in the universe. There's no place to go.